Hey there, this is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, survivor, and certified trauma recovery coach from danaarcuri.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to talk about the signs that you are the family scapegoat. And there's a lot of information that I'm going to share today. It's very educational content, and the purpose is to help you understand the signs of a scapegoat, how this happens, what it's all about, even the history of scapegoating. So let's start right now. Here we go. According to mindful.com, the word family scapegoat comes from an ancient Jewish tradition where a goat was sent into the wilderness to compensate and atone for the sins, misdeeds, and immoral acts of the community people. And family scapegoating, a narcissist or an abusive person blames a single person, especially a child, for whatever is wrong in the family. They become the target of blame, ostracism, criticism, judgments, and disapproval. So this is a true story, and whether you are a believer, a disbeliever, no matter if you are more of a spiritual person or you have a religious background, the Bible does have a story about the origins of scapegoating. Very, very eye-opening. Oh my goodness. This one is a hard pill to swallow, and yet so many of us are dealing with this today. Okay, so the scapegoating story does come from the Bible. It literally is in, let's say, Leviticus 16, 6 through 10. And so I'll share just a little bit of what the version, it's the NIV version of Leviticus 16, 6 through 10. I'm just going to share a little bit about what it says. So it says in the Old Testament, Aaron is to offer the bull for his own sin offering to make atonement for himself and his household. Then he is to take the two goats and present them before the Lord at the entrance to the tent of the meeting. He is to cast lots for the two goats, one lot for the Lord and the other for the scapegoat. And then it goes on and on and on, and then we're going to cut to the chase. It says, but the goat chosen by lot as the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord to be used for making atonement by sending it into the wilderness as a scapegoat. Okay, so again, really, whether you believe in religion or you disbelieve in religion, this does have a religious background. It does have, this history within the Bible where, I just share in this scripture that this whole thing with the dynamics of a very toxic, abusive family system, this is not new. This has been going on for centuries and centuries and centuries. It didn't begin just with you. It didn't begin just with your grandparents or with your the ancestral bloodline. Oftentimes when we trace the history within our family, we see there is intergenerational trauma. There were plenty of people who came before us in our bloodline, the ancestry, other generations before us who were also the family scapegoat. And I retraced my steps. So when I was in school for certified trauma recovery much earlier this year, we had to create a genogram. And in the genogram, we had to come up with at least three decades of the history of abuse within our family, the intergenerational trauma within our family. For me, it was really helpful. It was beneficial. It was eye-opening. It was validating. And I did clearly see that I'm not the only family scapegoat. Oh, my aunt was a scapegoat. And then there were other people who were in other generations before me that were the scapegoat. And I could see who was the abuser, the perpetrator, and who was the big bully of the family, who was the narcissist of the family. So there's a lot of different roles that the family plays. Nobody chooses to be the family scapegoat. This is something that's dumped on them, and it's typically by at least one person, which is the narcissist, and it could also carry on with the flying monkeys, the bully of the family, etc., etc. Let's carry on with this information. So basically, whether you are the black sheep of your family or you are the family scapegoat, actually, the reality is they chose you because you are the smartest, kindest, healthiest, strongest, wisest person in your family. You have beautiful traits and characteristics about you. Typically, you are a truth seeker. You stand up for the truth and you advocate for other people. And so this is why they shift all blame onto you and cast you out of your family, and why you become either the black sheep of your family or the family scapegoat. Okay, so this means that other family members subconsciously are fearful of you, your power, your potential, and all the wonderful traits that you do have. Therefore, they want to suppress you. They want to silence you. And this can be done in many different ways, gaslighting, manipulation, stonewalling, etc., etc. And it can lead these people to believe, no, I'm talking now about the scapegoat. So after, they dump their toxic shame on you, they flip the switch and they say, you're the perpetrator. Oh, we're the victim. We're the victim. This is what happens. So suddenly the narcissist is like, oh, I'm the victim. And the flying monkeys stand up and protect the narcissist, and everybody gangs up, family mobbing. And they gang up on the family scapegoat and they claim, you're the crazy one. It's your fault and you deserved it. Again, this is absolute false. And yet this goes on from one family to the next family, one generation to the next generation, until one person, thank you. I just thank myself that it was me. I'm so grateful today that I was a cycle breaker. So what's a cycle breaker? A cycle breaker is the person who has the courage and the strength to call out the BS on their toxic family unit and to walk away for once and for all. And they don't play, they don't participate, they have no engagement with the very unhealthy, psychologically abusive family system. And it is the most empowering thing on earth. I'm telling you, people, when you get to the other side of healing and you remove yourself from the very people who made you sick, who made you feel horrible inside, who just dumped all their toxicity and poison and maliciousness onto you, and you walk away and you break free of that dynamic, I am telling you, it is the most empowering, liberating, freeing experience on earth. Woo, woo. Next, let's talk about what the book, it's called Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. I love him. I just love Pete Walker. His book is just pure brilliant, so educational, and it was a huge part of my healing journey. I highly recommend his book. So let's talk about it. He says that narcissistic and borderline parents typically choose at least one child to be the designated family scapegoat. Scapegoating is the process by which a bully offloads and externalizes his pain, stress, and frustration by attacking a less powerful person. Okay, so what this could mean is, like when they say, quote unquote, less powerful person, it could be that this happened in a very early timeline, like child development, when you were a little boy or girl and your family chose you to be the family scapegoat. It could be that in this dynamic, you were not even aware of it. A lot of times when we are raised in a very unhealthy, abusive family, what is very abnormal becomes normal to a survivor. And a lot of times for a child, this is considered an adaptive coping mechanism. What's adaptive coping mechanism? It is when the child is just surviving. They're trying to hang on. They're trying to just stay afloat in the midst of this very unhealthy family unit. And so oftentimes survival mode will carry us through our childhood to our adulthood. Now, once we hit adulthood, survival mode no longer works. Now that's called maladaptive. It's no longer healthy. It's no longer working. That's when we rise up like the phoenix and we break the silence. We speak out and disclose the family secrets. Shh. Yeah. We finally say, no, I'm not going to be silent. No, I'm not going to be censored. No, I'm not going to carry that shame that they dumped onto me. And instead, I'm going to advocate, educate, and speak up about the toxic family unit. And we brilliantly, just in amazing ways, one by one, year by year, transform our lives to become more than a survivor. We become a thriver. Okay, so what else does Pete Walker say? He says here, very interesting. Let's see. Scapegoating is the process by which a bully offloads and externalizes his pain, stress, and frustration, by attacking a less powerful person. So you may have been the youngest person. Maybe you were the youngest person in your family, and everybody just ganged up on you. And again, a lot of people have shared on my YouTube channel that, some will say, yeah, I'm the youngest, and others will say, no, I was the oldest. So again, there is no rhyme or reason to this. Regardless of your birth order, a scapegoat is still a scapegoat. And the people who basically did this, who created a family scapegoat, who dumped their sins and evil doings onto you, should be ashamed of themselves. And let's move on. So Pete Walker says, in especially dysfunctional families, the scapegoating parent often organizes the rest of the family to also gang up on the scapegoat. Raise your hand if it happened to you. Yes, I've experienced this. They feel entitled to punish you for anything that displeases them, no matter how unreasonable it might appear to an impartial observer. And then he goes on to say, I believe there is an epidemic of sibling abuse. Amen, Pete Walker, there is. And he says, and it afflicts many dysfunctional families. Siblings in such families can traumatize the victimized scapegoat, as severely as the parents. In families with checked out, disinterested parents, they can in fact be the chief sources of trauma. And I believe that is accurate. So your family relationships are built during your early development as a child. It determines your success in adult bonding and other relationships and your mental health, etc., etc. And so these early child developmental years, especially when you're being raised by a narcissistic parent or a big bully sibling who's abusive, it really sets the tone for how you end up interacting in the world, or if you choose to just not interact. There are a lot of people who are going through trauma who isolate. And I just want to say, I get it, but we must understand that isolation is not how we heal. So typically you need at least one trauma-informed person who is a trustworthy, credible individual who could sit with you, who could hear you, who could believe you, who could validate you, who could just be present in the moment and in a very non-judgmental way give you safe space to just be yourself, to disclose the truth about your abuse, and to respect you and your boundaries. And so let's move on and talk about the signs of family scapegoating. First is they victim blame and victim shame you. So a family scapegoat is burdened with criticism, toxic shame, and blame for something they have not done. The wrongdoings of others are projected onto you. The words, you're not good enough, you can't do anything right, or you are the problem. Oh my goodness, how many of you have heard that? You're the problem, it's all you. Oh, it's all of us against you, so it must be you. And this is what they say. And so what happens is they continuously feed this into your ears. They're continually telling you these false facts. It's not a fact, it's just hogwash. But yet they love to gaslight you. They love to manipulate you. They love to bully you. And they like to just intimidate you, and they want to bully you into silence. They really do. And so I think that a big part of the healing journey is breaking out of the toxic unit and speaking up, disclosing the truth, and standing up for yourself. Having compassion and empathy on your own self, especially in your healing journey. And so we must understand that you were just a convenient receptacle for your insecure family members who were incapable or unwilling to take responsibility for their own cruel actions, words, and behaviors. Number 2, another common sign of family scapegoating is verbal abuse. So the toxic family unit will lash out at you. They might say, you're so lazy, you're incompetent, you're stupid, or you're so difficult to love. Or they might say, you won't amount to anything, or you're just not good enough. So no matter what they say or do to you, they insist that you are the bad person in your family. They say you don't fit in. And you know what? I'm glad that I don't fit in. I'm glad that I am not like the toxic family unit. And you should be glad too, because when we look at their core traits, they're bitter, they're hostile, they're demonic, they are so hateful, and they're spiteful people who seek vengeance. Let them go. Let them reap what they sow. Karma has no deadline. And let's move on next to ending what is the verbal abuse all about. So your siblings and your parent, and it could be a narcissistic parent, or it could be an enabling parent, they will habitually belittle you. They call you nasty names. They might cuss you out, guilt you out. So they try to put you on a guilt trip, and they're so good at it because they're manipulative people, and then they verbally attack you. So, and again, this is just a reflection on them, who they are. It's not a reflection of you. Next is another sign of family scapegoating is being ignored. Sometimes people say, and I've had many coaching clients say this to me, they'll say, I feel invisible. I feel that I don't matter. And so if that's how you feel today, please know that your feelings are valid. Human emotions are all very important, and we should not dismiss how we feel. So you will be the last one to hear important things that are happening within your family unit. So if someone is sick or admitted into the hospital, or if someone dies, such as your parent, the toxic family will try to withhold this information from you. They won't tell you. If there's a wedding, a family dinner, a special event, you are not included. And yet a week or so goes by, and before you know it, the narcissistic parent might call you on the phone. They tell on their own selves. Are they that stupid? Yes, they really are, especially when they become very old. They don't age well, and they start telling on themselves. It's really odd, but yet an eye-opener. I've experienced this myself too. And so what will happen is the narcissistic parent will call you. They'll rub it in your face. And so all of us in the family went out and we had such a great time without you. And then they just rub it in your face like it's dirt, like they want to hurt you. They really want to purposefully hurt you. This is what they aim to do. And they'll gloat about this entertaining time without you. How much fun they had. Oh, they had so much fun without you. This is what they say. And then they are trying to bait you. So when they give you this information, at the real root of it is they're trying to provoke you. They're trying to bait you into a conflict and an argument with them. Again, they need narcissistic fuel, narcissistic supply. Don't give it to them. Ignore them. Hang up the phone and walk away. Next, another sign of family scapegoating is there is no emotional support within your toxic family unit. So it's common in the dysfunctional family system to receive little to no emotional support. So when your narcissistic mother or father or sibling falls sick, you are always there for them. You bring them a meal, or you visit them in the hospital, or you take them to their doctor's appointment. You do what you gotta do. and this might be in your earlier days. I understand that some of you went no contact just like I have. But when I look back on my relationship with my narcissistic mother, who was there when she went in to the hospital? Me. I'm the one who got up at 2 o'clock in the morning to get ready to take her at such an early hour to be admitted into surgery. I was the one. Who was the one who slept over every single time she had surgery? Me. The other siblings, oh no, we have a life. Oh, we have a husband. Oh, we have a family. Excuse me, so do I. So do I. And so when it all comes down to it, we could see that we did so much. We gave so much of ourselves. We were loyal for so long to this family. But were they there for us? No, they were not. So here we go. We could be there for someone when they're sick. If there's a wedding, a family dinner, maybe there's a holiday gathering, they just might not invite you. They just might not include you. Like, you're not invited. That's just the way it is. And then they gloat about the great time they had without you. And then they bait you into arguments. And again, this could be one of the top reasons you are ignored. And it could be because you stand up for truth. You will not participate in their crazy making. And that because you are a truth seeker, this drives them crazy. And that's why they don't include you. Next is another sign of family scapegoating is that they not only don't give you the emotional support. Okay, I'm still on emotional support. So there are times when you might be down and out. Did you receive cards, gifts, flowers? Someone maybe visited you in the hospital, maybe not. And then typically the scapegoat will find that they're not getting emotional support from their mother, father, siblings, relatives, but they might have at least one or two people, maybe even a whole other crew of people who are their supporters, who do give them emotional support. You might have a spouse, you might have adult children, you might have a good friend, many good friends. And so I say it's really important to have emotional support. So do what you can to find at least one person who could be there for you, who's got your back. Next is physical and sexual abuse targets. So were you the target for physical or sexual abuse, or both? So it is highly unfortunate that many scapegoats are targeted by each member of their family for ritual abuse. It can be domestic violence, physical assault, and or sexual assault. Okay, so in my own case, it was my sister's husband who sexually assaulted me in 2006. And then, of course, they said, you asked for it, you deserved it. Now just forgive and forget fast. Can we really forgive and forget fast? Can we really just let go of a legal crime such as being violated sexually by a relative? Really? So there's a lot of people who have different things that they feel about forgiveness, but the truth is it's a personal decision and it should not be done immaturely, prematurely, too fast, too soon, too quick. And just because you are leaving a toxic relationship, maybe you walked away, maybe you're gray rocking, maybe you broke free of the dynamics within your family unit. Forgiveness is very personal. It's not up for anyone to sit there and judge you and condemn you and verbally abuse you over it. It's super personal and it's not even open for discussion over here. So don't even write anything negative or hostile about forgiveness, because oftentimes the people who are the abuse survivors are told so frequently to just forgive, just get over it, just move on. And I tell you what, there is proof in the medical and scientific industry that trauma survivors will never, ever forget their trauma. The body keeps the score. The body remembers. It's epigenetics, cellular memory through the body. So even if we wanted to forget, like we tell ourselves, just let it go, forget, move on, you can't, okay? The only way to get through the trauma recovery is to go through the recovery process. That means you need to admit the truth about abuse. You need to stand up for yourself. And you need to understand it was not your fault. Only the perpetrators are accountable and must take responsibility for their abusive actions. So the fact about sexual trauma is that survivors do not just get over it, okay? Just what I just said. So we don't need to pray harder or forgive more or justify a legal crime. Instead, we find at least one person who is a trauma-informed professional who could support us, who could validate us, who could listen to us in a very non-judgmental way, who could have compassion, empathy. And, anyone who is experienced in trauma and mental health, they will never shame you. So if you're going to a therapist who tells you to just get over it, or just forgive, or just play nice with a perpetrator, don't just walk away. You need to report them and then run as fast as you can. Because that is not trauma-informed. That is not how we heal trauma. Find someone who understands you, who believes in you, and who cheers you on. Next. So even if we could remember the whole entire trauma, and then even if we wanted to forget it, so if we say, oh, it doesn't feel good, it's so uncomfortable, and I'm getting like triggers and flashbacks and nightmares, and we say we want to forget it, we can understand that our body will always remember this violation. But we have a lot of holistic modalities that can be there to support us in our healing journey. So there's EMDR, there is emotional freedom technique, there is energy healing, there is professional massage therapy, body work. There are so many other different ways that we can move through gently and safely our trauma process and get to the other side of the healing. And please know you are so worthy of healing, my friend. And so another sign of this horrendous family scapegoating is false accusations. So you might find yourself being accused of false accusations. You might be told that you did something in which you did not do. And so there's the whole blame game, the blame shifting. Typically what happens is the toxic family unit will project their own BS onto you. So their negative energy is just kind of dumped onto you. It doesn't feel good. And that's why walking away is so healthy. We have to understand, if you stay in the relationship that made you sick, you can't get better. That's why it's really important, if you're being abused, even like right now, and it's whether verbal abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, domestic violence, etc., understand that you cannot heal in the environment that made you sick. I really hope you could find the courage and strength and support so you could break free of this dynamic. You deserve it. You deserve it. And next is that you're not a family doormat. And so your parents and siblings may walk all over you as if you are a family doormat. They might treat you like a punching bag. So say, for example, you live with your family. Say you live with them right now. Now that's hard. That's really hard. Like, how do you go no contact if you live under the same roof with the narcissist or the abusive siblings? That is challenging. And not everybody has the finances or the luxury to just move out. So understand that gray rock is your next step. Gray rock. So gray rock is when you give like minimal reaction. You don't want to give an emotional reaction. And why? Because narcissists and toxic siblings, they want your emotional reaction because that's narcissistic supply. Don't react. Don't give them, the crying and the fighting and the arguing and trying to explain yourself. No, don't bother. Walk away. Don't engage. And lastly, so the last sign of the family scapegoating is triangulation of relationships. So according to overcomingtoxicpeople.com, they say, triangulation is a tactic used by narcissistic family members to devastating effect. Triangulation is a form of abuse where a narcissist either puts themselves between two family members to control the dynamic, and they attack a victim indirectly through a third party. So in families, narcissistic triangulation is a common way where the narcissist, typically a parent, and then there could be the flying monkeys also, who will try to control you, manipulate you, gaslight you, and they aim to hurt the scapegoat. Next is the toxic family unit seeks masterful ways to destroy your relationships with your other parents. So it could be with other family members. So whether it's someone who's triangulating your relationship with your mother, your father, your grandparents, your sisters, your brothers, and maybe for you, maybe you don't have the problem with family scapegoating. Maybe this scapegoating came from a marriage or an intimate relationship with a partner. And so maybe their friends or their coworkers or their relatives are actually triangulating your relationship too. So it's really bizarre how this happens. And technically, they just literally annihilate your relationships. And it's disheartening to experience this, but yet we know that we can rise above these fierce obstacles. We can break free. And so I look forward to when my book, Soul Rescue, How to Break Free from Narcissistic Abuse and Heal Trauma. I'm so excited for when it launches, which is in the short near future. It's going to happen real soon. It's in the process. I'm so excited. Anyways, this book is educational, people. This book is for you if you are the scapegoat or the black sheep of your family, or if you've been abused by a narcissist or by a family member. So I am excited for this to happen, and I so look forward to when this book launches. I think it's going to be incredible healing and validating for all scapegoats and black sheep of the family. So share with me, are you either the black sheep or the scapegoat of your family? How long have you been dealing with this? Do you have boundaries in place? How are you healing? Share your story with me down below. Let's keep the comments going. And you can visit me at danaarcuri.com. Thank you and have a wonderful day.